Hello, viewers. I'm SB, and welcome to a little announcement here about the altars. So, some stuff has gone down since the last time we recorded. I had already started to see some of this bubbling up on social media by the time of the last episode. I wanted to let it resolve a little bit more before I said anything about it, and boy, has it resolved. So, people started to discover over the last week or so, people started to discover evidence of generative AI produced assets in the game. I'll put up on screen an image. There's an example of one thing in the text crawls. There is, scaffolding evidence of like the AI responding to prompts. But there's also stuff in the art. Some people who have more knowledge of computer generated art than I do say that some of the profiles seem pretty sketchy. People had reason to believe that there is other generative AI produced assets in the game. On top of that, in the translated versions of the game, in many of the non-English versions of the game, there is a lot of bad translation work, and it's bad in the ways that the particular hallmarks of bad machine translation. Sometimes it is as clear as them having left in like the AI responding to prompts, like in this text example. But in other cases that I've seen screenshots of, it's just really, really terrible work that you would expect a human being to catch. Things like transliterating the wrong meaning of a word so that the sentence around it doesn't, clearly doesn't make sense or clearly doesn't mean what it was supposed to mean. And that's just bad work. So eventually the developers put out this statement here, and feel free to pause if you want to read through this, saying basically that the stuff that's in the English language version of the game, the art assets and whatnot, all of that's mistakes. That was placeholder work that was supposed to be removed pre-release. They missed it, and it snuck out into the wild. Oops. Their story about the translation stuff, remarkably, is that, that's on purpose. They meant to release the game with the totally busted translations in places and just pay to fix it later because they're under such extreme time constraints. And keep in mind, they are their own publisher on this one. That doesn't necessarily mean that there weren't any time constraints. Obviously you enter into agreements. Part of PR is setting a date or whatever. But I'm pretty not sympathetic to extreme time constraints on their self-published video game. Aside from the fact that that's a terrible reason to release a thing that is bad on purpose. Aside from the other really big issues that I have with this, first of which is that the Steam store has a policy that if you have used generative AI in the production of your game, you have to disclose that on your Steam store page. Now, you could quibble about whether or not they should mention the art assets if you believe their story that stuff's not supposed to be in the final game. They thought it wasn't in the final game, whatever. But at the very least, I think that translation stuff, absolutely, by the terms of their agreement with Valve, warrants a disclosure on the page. There was no generative AI disclosure on the store page when I bought the game. I would not have bought it if there had been, and I think they know that there are plenty of people like that, and that's why there isn't one. And remarkably, today, as I am posting this, I've just gone and checked. There still isn't a disclosure, despite the fact that this has been, running through the gaming press and stuff. So fuck that. Fuck them continuing to sell this product without disclosing that. Secondly, and forgive me for being petty, but if I'm honest, this is my biggest problem with this. I don't buy this. I think they're lying. I don't buy this statement at all, because it doesn't make any sense to me that you would spend extra effort and fire up the fucking Ferngully machine to generate placeholder assets to look as close to finished assets as possible so that you would increase the likelihood of something like this happening, right? Like, it is long-standing practice in game development to make placeholder assets very obvious so that every time you see them, you go, okay, yeah, we still need to remove that, right? So that it doesn't just slip under the radar. They spent extra effort to make it more likely that they would have exactly this kind of accident instead of writing placeholder in big capital letters in all the text crawls, or using something searchable at the end of the project like lorem ipsum, which people have done in video games for placeholder text for decades, or some version of the bright pink and black checkerboard pattern that makes it really obvious that this is a texture the user's not supposed to be seeing, or a texture or a brush or an asset or whatever, that you need to replace this. Like, there are ways that these things are done precisely to avoid this problem, and their story is that they put in a bunch of extra effort and also environmental damage to make it more likely that they would have the problem that they have. And I don't believe that. Just like I don't believe that they were always going to fix the translations. I think they probably had no idea how bad some of their translations were. And so and because I don't believe any of this stuff, I also have a hard time believing them when they say, but these are the only places that we use generative AI in the game. Oh gosh, how embarrassing, but you found them all. And so we don't need to, disclose anything else to you. The lying is what really gets to me. It really, really does infuriate me. And so, that's going to be the end of this Let's Play, where I'm not going to finish this game. Thank you all so much for listening. And we're going to, new stuff is coming up on the channel. Hopefully you will enjoy watching it as much as or more than you enjoyed watching this. Hopefully some people are going to learn some lessons, and God, it would be sick if they were the right lessons, I don't necessarily have a ton of faith. Anyway, that's it for the alters. Thank y'all so much for watching, for being here, and we'll see you next time.